You guys, it's all happening. Are we podcasting? Hey, Jen, are we podcasting?
We're podcasting. You can tell by the way it's so loud that we're podcasting.
Yeah, the time that you say you're podcasting is when somebody's like, you know what I want to do now? Play the flute.
Leaf blow.
Yeah, this is a time to make all of the noise.
Yeah, they know. They've listened before, right? If you haven't, go to
anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, and you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
YouTube, Twitter. There's lots of places. We are very excited too because we have a new teammate.
That's right.
His name is Tony. He's lovely. He's listening today. He's going to help us. And he's going to help us with so many things. To be
so
cooler,
many things. Be kinder.
Be with it.
Have us work out more.
I don't think he would dare, but he is a very supportive, sweet
We do.
young man.
We also have 3 live shows left there in Detroit, South
Are we
Bend,
going to be
Indiana.
past that date on this? No, great.
No.
3 shows left, and that's it.
And they're in Detroit, South Bend, Indiana, and Chicago at the Vic. Get there.
Chicago at the Vic. I can't wait.
Yep.
It's so much fun. Go to IMOMSOHARD.com for tickets, and there we go.
Kristin has a real hot. We have hot flashes. We also have. I have a ridiculous hot flash.
We have hot flashes. We also have hot guys that we're going to talk about.
Oh, you do?
No, I'm just kidding. You do.
Oh, okay. Well,
and then we
mine's
have a
not
mom box.
Mine's a hot guy and a hot girl, but I'll get to that.
Oh, Jen, what's up?
It's mostly just
She's fluid.
Well, aren't we all? But I
little
actually,
bit, yeah.
I
A lot of it.
Hot flashes for me are a good way to like just share my favorite news story.
That's dumb. Hot flashes for me are like, let me show you the hottest guy I've ever seen in my life. I like do research on
My
behalf
sex
of everyone.
drive is broken. It's got an ACL tear or something. It's like it's benched.
Look, man, my sex drive and my willingness to have sex are 2 different things right now because I'm living in a tiny house with my husband who I do not like right now, which is not that I don't love him, but I'm over my living situation, so nobody's getting any action. So hot flashes are all I have. Literally.
Oh yeah, the feeling warm, and she does have a strange heating cooling setup right now too. So
It's the worst. It's literally the worst. I have never been more anxious to get out of a living space than I am in this house. That if you go back like 6 episodes, you will hear me say, I like it more than the front house. I really do. I love our garage apartment.
Yep.
What?
She's gonna walk that back.
I'm going to walk that back so fast.
I mean, that's.
I'd be if I was in there by myself, it was an Airbnb in Cape Cod, I'd love it.
It's like
But
car
I
trips.
got roommates from Craigslist.
Car trips, feel like they're going to be a nice, fun
I think
time.
they're always going to be a fun time.
About an hour and a half in, you're like,
What have I
should have flown?
done?
Yeah.
Always you think I'm going to save money and I'm going to. Okay, so big news on the horizon.
Huge.
You guys, we had a real evening last night that we did not anticipate going this direction. But here's how it played out. So, we have officially had the talk with our son. When he was in 3rd grade, because we were in remote learning, we opted to have a conversation with Finn and give him,
And by the talk, she doesn't mean like save half your,
earnings,
a third of your earnings.
No,
yeah.
No. That's the talk I'm really into.
That one she can is.
I know more about
rattle
that
off.
than I do the sex talk. But we wanted to have a dialogue with Finn because we knew that he kind of knew everything about it except the main situation.
Okay,
So
I feel like now you've read this because I haven't heard you call it a dialogue.
I've read
before,
so much and it
okay.
does not matter and it does not help. So with our son, we had the talk and I had so much anxious energy and nerves that my skin got hot. I felt like I was going to start crying. Like I couldn't say it. My husband just said it and then, just gave it the brass tacks 1, 2, and my son started to laugh, and then his face was like he was like on a fair ride. He was like, whoa! It was so like with him. Then all of a sudden, the conversation quickly turned into how he would be allowed to karate chop a stranger with stranger danger. Like we went off we veered off the path so fast.
Yeah, lost interest.
So then then it came to me like something had just punched me in the face that like when you have the talk with your kids, here's what professionals and people in general don't tell you. You're not having like the talk. They always make it sound like it's just one. You're talking forever. That is just the beginning.
It raises a lot of questions.
Oh my God, forever.
Yeah.
And as they get older, they have different questions and so like I was under some dumb impression that like we would have this conversation with Finn and there he would go. But
Yeah.
now he's like, he doesn't even half remember what we talked about. I was like, Finn, we've talked about this. Do you remember, like, girls have a period? And he's like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, God. Ugh.
I think they just like to hear you say it.
They love to see me squirm. Oh, God, I sweat through my shirt.
Because we haven't had like this specific talk with either of our kids yet, but and I'm not going to do what my mom did and be like, I think you've got it figured out. Not going to do that, but like I know that they know some things about it because like somebody will say something on TV and they'll both like turn and look at me like a couple, and be like, is this when she's gonna do it? Is this when she's gonna say anything? But I also don't keep information from them, like if something comes up and they're like, what's that? I just say what that is. I just don't think they put the puzzle pieces together. But it's when you have
to say what the puzzle pieces are, that is a real sobering moment because like we're the same way. We're like, well, we're just gonna say the hard thing and just say it. But that part where you're like, all right, here's how it works is another conversation altogether. So we had the conversation with our son. It didn't go great. I don't think anything stuck. And then he went to his 5th grade, here's how wieners and boners and vaginas work.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He thought it was a try not to laugh video from YouTube. And I was under the dumb misunderstanding that he actually retained any of it, which he hasn't. So that's when I realized I was like, oh, this is information we're going to have to keep reinforcing and reinforcing. But Eleanor, my daughter, who's in 4th grade, she knew. She's so smart. She's so intuitive that she's like, I can tell that this thing kind of makes you a little uncomfortable. So I would be cooking or like packing her bag and she would go, Mom, I think it's time we have the talk. And I would go, well, your dad is not here. And we want to sit down. So she knew that like I was like, that it was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So whenever the word sex came up in anything, she would go, is it time? Is this it? Are we having the talk? And I was like,
see what your presentation
no.
is.
I go, we're not having the talk. She goes, is it the pre-talk? And I was like, oh God, she's killing me. So last night we're sitting at the table and Eleanor goes, meanwhile, Finn is at the table. And Eleanor goes, you guys had the talk with Finn, but you have not had the talk with me. And I look at Finn and I go, don't you say a single word right now, sir. You just pipe down. I don't need her getting any information from you. And then I was like, ding, 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 you better give her information. So I go, Finn, go up and get in the shower. And so then Colin and I were like, all right, we're going to have the talk with you. It's going to last 4 minutes. That's all we have because Finn is a very fast shower,
okay.
which I already have a problem with that. So I go, all right. So we had the talk with her last night. And what I realized is I felt like I was chained to my seat because I couldn't do bits because she was so, had so many good questions, but they were like tough questions that I was not prepared.
Like what?
Oh my God. She goes, so we tell her, and the hardest part is, I'm looking at my husband and I'm like, well, we don't want to make it about each other and we don't want to make it this thing that we do with each other. So then you're trying to make it like clinical, but then it gets weird. So then we were like, we always start at like, when you're in love, when you are comfortable with this person, when you've shared time together. She's like, yeah, get to the part. So then I was the one that said, the penis goes in the vagina. And she goes, hold on. Why? I go, what do you mean why? And she goes, but why would you do that? And I was like, oh God, okay. Well, if you have a couple margaritas and maybe you've done some dancing earlier in the night.
Yeah, sometimes it's just easier than arguing.
But see, again, I can't do bits with her. So I'm like holding the chair and I'm like, I just want to say so many funny things, but she's so confused. She's like, well, wait. But then how does it go in there? And I was like, okay, there's a thing called an erection and it's going to be a problem. It's going to be
that's what you said. There's a thing called an erection
yes.
and it's going to be a problem. She's a shirt made that says that, you guys. And
I just didn't. I felt like it was like, okay, I was prepared to write a preface of this book, and Eleanor has tabs in like a giant binder. She's like, second chapter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and I
tried to prep you. I've been telling you I had questions.
Nope.
And
some of the big questions that she had. Let me some of them that I think you will find very
God,
funny.
I love it. Now, but now the thing is, my son's 5 weeks old, but I also feel like he's already read it.
You
The
got to
kids-
say it. The reason I believe that, first of all, no kid wants to talk about that with their parents to a degree. But what I wanted to create was this open line of dialogue where they see that, like, even though I'm uncomfortable talking about it, I can still get through it. And
Yeah.
like, she was so funny the whole time. She kept laughing. Her little teeth were like together, and she was like, oh. And I was like, it is weird. It's weird to think this thing happens because she doesn't understand, and nor do kids, that like there's a pleasure, that it's like fun. It should be fun. Sex should be fun. And she doesn't, I'm not telling her that. I'm not like, because she's like, what? You might as well tell her that her elbow goes in an ear. She doesn't, like, they don't know. So it's all for her. It's like pops and hisses and like symbols, you know? So I'm like, biologically, this is what happens. So then we had to go through and explain like an egg and the sperm. And so here's a couple of things she said that were awesome.
God, this is amazing.
She goes, how long does it have to stay in there?
Well, Eleanor, you wanna say 20 minutes, or it hasn't been worth your time?
I was like, that will be determined by the people that are consenting to this adventure. And sometimes it's fast and sometimes it's not. And it really depends on what mood you're in for that.
And is that the way you said it?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, God, you're so uncomfortable with all of this. I'm just going to keep asking these questions.
Yep.
Here's the other one.
Hit me.
She's like, hold on a second. Does it go in your pee hole where you pee? And
She
I
is
was
your
like,
daughter.
oh God, she's mine.
yeah.
I've done a bad job. I go, you know what? I'm not exactly sure. I need to look up a chart on that one. So if you can put can you put a little flag in the thing, and then we'll go back to that. And then she said, you and Daddy had to do that 2 times to have us? And I go, yep. Just 2 times.
Wow.
I didn't want it. These are complicated questions. Do you know how different the questions were coming from my son? My son was like, it was literally like game over after the conversation. We were talking about consent, and we were talking about that you own your body, that nobody gets to touch your parts without your consent.
Yeah.
And that should be reserved for when you're older and when you're with somebody that you trust and you love and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But Finn was like, his takeaway was, oh man, if a stranger comes up to me in the mall, I get to do a roundhouse kick. And I was like, that is not what we're trying to unpack here. But Eleanor was very linear, and I was like, I'm not prepared.
Let's keep roundhouse kicks out of the sex conversation until later.
So I think the thing that was, first of all, I couldn't have eaten more Tums. Literally, I had a box of Tums in front of me, and she'd ask me a question, and I would like pop a Tum, and then I would chew, and she would just stare at me. And she would stare at me, and Colin would be like, he had a hard time talking about it, because I think when you own the equipment, it's a different conversation. There's a knowledge that you obviously have from as mother to daughter, for him, he was me in the situation when we were talking to Finn. He was stumbling on his words. He was trying to find the right thing to say, and then he just kept saying like, just don't. You know, like, don't ever, like, you don't have to. Like, he was like so weird about it.
Don't ever what?
Have sex. Like, he was like, he was like, when you're married. And I go, well, you don't really have to do it when you're married. And he's like, hey. And I'm like, well, I'm just.
Yeah, my
It's
husband
a little
and I,
weird.
we need to get on the same page before that, because I can
think
see
that's
him
just
saying
protective. It's fine. It's an easier way to talk about it. We all know that, like, down the road when she's older, we'll have much different conversations. But right now, we just had to get the key in the lock situation. And to her, it was the best joke she's ever heard. She was like, that's dumb. Why would anybody want to do that? And I'm like, stay on that, sister. Get your advanced degree. Don't be distracted.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay, so now I definitely have to do this with Dash, because they're going to talk. They're going to see each other, and they're going to be like. I told
her absolutely not. I go, Eleanor, this is a conversation for parents and their kid, not for kid with their kid. Like, you don't go telling anybody about this. This is a family conversation. And because in 5th grade they have the school talk, so they're all like, They do. They go in and there's like, Finn said that like the video was literally laughable and it was just some guy going like, so when I go through puberty, some things will get bigger, and then the guy like looks down at his crotch.
Oh, God, that is funny.
So that's what Finn was like. That's hilarious.
My kids are obsessed with puberty right now. There's like
Same.
one puberty conversation that comes
Always.
up every day. So I know that they're like discussing it in school, like not maybe officially, but like on the playground or at lunch.
Yeah,
or
because there's some
whatever.
kids in their class that are 6 foot tall.
I know, it's so bizarre. Like I remember that. Like so this is what happened at our school just last week, and this was the shock of the century.
Oh boy.
2 fifth graders caught vaping.
Oh no.
And I was literally horrified when I heard the story. I was like,
awful.
That's crazy. I've never, well, like anymore. Like who does that? And one of them had like stolen a vape pen from their mom, brought it to school, and gave it a test drive in the old the bathroom with one of their buddies. But our principal's so awesome, she called the police.
Good.
Because she was like, no, I'm going to set an example for the entire school to
Absolutely.
see. Yeah. So she called the police. And you know what the police said? That because everybody was like, why are they here?
Yeah.
Because they can be up there sometimes like doing a welfare check or like
You know what though?
telling
She did the right thing.
I
Scare them
think so
straight, man.
too. But the cop said to one of my friends that was up at the school at the time, he goes, if you see the cops up at the school and we're walking, everything's fine. And I was like,
Oh boy, not everything's fine, but everything's
not
fine.
in this kid's world.
Yeah,
He's wrecked. I was thinking about like, what's he doing this? Like every night is going to be so hard because he brought the vape pen to school. But I remember like in 5th grade, that's when boys started getting naughty. Not girls as much, but boys were starting to get like
Don't even get me
real
started.
naughty.
Don't even get me 5th and 6th grade. Oh my God, it's so hard.
Well, my son gave me this. He's a very math-oriented person, and he said, it used to be like, say, pre-pandemic, that maybe you had a 1% chance of getting a 5th grader saying something mean to you, and he goes, now it's a 43% chance.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
seems
that's
right.
really specific.
That sounds right. Literally last year, I had to referee on a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, 4th grade boys. And I told my husband, I go, I'm not ever doing that again. Like, because they were so like intense. And I was like, that's only going to get worse in 5th grade. I saw those same 4th graders as 5th graders. And I was like, you have a mustache. Like,
Yes.
I am not, you are eyeball to eyeball with me. If I make a bad call, which I guarantee you I will, because I don't know what the hell the rules are.
Yeah.
I do not want to deal with you. Like 5th graders, oh my God. And 5th grade teachers, they all should be given like a goddamn cruise.
I know. They're saints. But that's got to be like the hardest job. Just that like,
Just their bodies are changing, and boys, like the maturity difference between a boy and a girl developmentally is profound. It is like girls, like their bodies start changing earlier, but then they're sort of like ashamed of it. And then boys, they're just like bouncing off the walls, and they're like not until like 7th grade, they kind of start changing. It's just everybody's like bodies are moving like they're like taken over by invasion of the body snatchers.
and it's so funny. My son said the other day in one of his daily puberty talks, he goes to Delilah, he's like, you don't hit puberty or peak puberty till you're like 13. And I'm like, have you been talking to your grandma? Because this is very outdated information. Like it's starting now, just so you guys know.
I know, but isn't
like,
that crazy? Like it does start like it starts in little ways, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what's around the corner, but I think it's coming fast. And I think for me, I wanted to have the conversation with Eleanor so that, because with girls, man, like when you have a period, it's kind of scary. You're like, this feels gross, and like there's blood, and I'm uncomfortable, and I have cramps, and sometimes I'm constipated, sometimes I have diarrhea, like all these things. It's an assault on your body. So
it's the shittiest of engineering.
It's the shittiest, and I go, I just want her to know that like while it is shitty, it's also pretty awesome, and that like she doesn't have to be scared of any of it. Because I felt very uninformed.
I sort of think that like, regardless of what you say to kids, this is probably before they're ever like on Instagram or like watching anything that is like a non-kid show, they're still getting messages about like what sex is and whether it's good or bad.
Totally.
Which is shocking, because I was filling something out with my son, and instead of gender, it said sex. I think it was at the
Oh my God! Did they go? Are they like? Oh,
he
that's
did.
So
he looked at. He goes. Like look back, and I go.
It's
that.
not.
That he goes. That's not.
My husband would do the same thing. He's like, "You handing that out?"
Yeah.
Do I just check the box?
Sex? Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah. No, I was like, what do you, it's asking if you're,
Oh, but they love it. They're like, oh.
think you're going to trap me in a car. I'll have the conversation. I know. Maybe I'm too comfortable having. I don't know. I want to see. It's got to happen though.
I just wanted to know that that I'm trying very hard to be open, and I want them to know they can be open with me. God knows I don't know if I'm doing it right. I will say this. I saw a really neat interview with Elizabeth Banks, who I love.
Yeah.
And she was saying, like, you know, she was talking about the importance of being open with your kids about all this. And she said that, like, she was so blunt that it made me laugh. She's like, hey, man, you know, the truth is, like, you have sex, and like 99% of the time that you're having sex, it's not to have kids. So I'm like, there's a dialogue that like needs to happen. And there's my favorite fancy word again, dialogue, because I've been reading many an article.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to have a conversation that you're comfortable with your kid, and you got to trust your gut as a parent as to what they can handle, and trust why you're saying it. All I wanted to do was give her the same information we gave Finn at kind of the same time, so she was in the know, because she felt very like, hold on a second. Why does Finn get to know about this thing and I don't? And I was like,
Yeah.
I really don't know, because he lacks maturity in every direction. We should have reversed this.
Yeah, I know. I know that my daughter feels the same way too. And she'll have it way earlier, like than Dash.
Well, yeah, because the second kid, it comes much easier.
Yeah.
I realized, like, oh, we're just starting the conversation. So I did hear another tidbit that I thought was really helpful, is that these conversations, while they're very difficult, they're the best place to have them is in the car. So that, like, everybody's looking forward. So it's like mom's driving, kids are in the back.
No awkward eye contact.
No awkward eye contact, because it feels aggressive. So it's like you're at a sporting event and you're just like, hey, let's talk about the birds and the bees. Let's talk about how sex happens. It's this. And then they don't feel like they're required to have any particular reaction, which I
Yeah.
was like, all right. So now that we've done the one, and I've eaten enough Tums to, like, my bone density is going to be incredible.
Well, it must be easier, because I know the Finn talk was like a couple days of gearing up. It was like
I was a disaster.
you were in had the cold sweats.
I had cold sweats.
Down a bottle of wine, and then
Because I felt like in my head, there was a little part of me that felt like once I said it to him, once I started to have that conversation, especially giving the brass tacks of just like what sex is, he would have a loss of innocence. And what I realized is, like, that is just not true. They take in what they can take in. You're just opening the dialogue. There can be a million different versions of what that's going to look like. He'll have questions down the road. I just want him to know that he can't ask me. I might get uncomfortable. I might get weird. I might look up a YouTube tutorial about how to talk about it. I might not even know what it is he's asking, but I'm going to try.
you just make something up. I think that
I make up a lot of things.
And you know what?
If you're confident, that's fine. It's information.
It's how you sell it. It
People
really
do
is.
that on the internet all the time. It's just people believe it on the internet.
1,000%. I'm glad you're having the conversation. You survived it, because now I can do it. Because I remember getting this book, this purple book that was like, number one, I don't know what went on in my house in the 80s or whatever. I do. But I remember being embarrassed in my own room by myself to read this book.
I agree.
And so there was so much shame. All I want is for them to just, I want them, I say this all the time, in our live show and stuff. Listen, we're all animals. And if we could just accept that we're animals, we're humans, we can apply our brains to, but it's really not needed. Oh, I know the reason that it's come up a lot in my house, or the kids want to know, is because we got the new puppy, which is all the stress I can handle right now, besides the washing machine exploding. And so I don't want to have the sex talk this week. But they have a lot of questions, because we're obviously going to get her spayed. And they're like, what is that?
I know, and then it's a slippery slope. You're all of a sudden you're like, oh, and then my daughter would be like, are we having the talk?
Yes, I think they're trying to rope me in with that conversation about the dog. So I've answered everything very scientifically, but I
think maybe we probably brought a lot more like discomfort to the conversation than necessary, but I just didn't know how to say it. And and last night where Finn was taking a 6-minute shower, I was like, all right, Eleanor, we're going to give you the talk and it's going to be the fastest. And then Finn came out of the shower and he kind of knew that we were having a talk with her. So he's upstairs like audibling and I go, everybody just stop
Tell her
talking
about the lock and the key. Don't forget that part. It's a real important part. Not the pee hole.
Tell her about where if anybody's stranger danger, you can roundhouse kick them. So if you want to go to the mall and antagonize a stranger,
nobody gets touched swimsuit parts, but doctor or
So then I was like, oh,
I'm not saying Finn talks that way, but that's just how
100%. And then we had to try to teach our son football plays. So the sex talk into football plays in one night, oddly, not a weird parallel.
Oh, the whiplash, yeah.
I was well, everybody needs to memorize this information.
It's your parental right also to bring all that like awkwardness into the conversation. All I want is to not bring my own personal baggage into it,
They don't want you to bring your own personal baggage into it because they do not want to think about it. My mom tried to have the chat. I wish it would have been a chat. I knew I was.
That makes it sound so
My
casual.
mom also, an 80s mom. All I remember is my mom wanted to have the talk with me, and I knew it was going to get weird because it was like she's in the foreground and my dad was like in the background, like smoking a cigarette, doing bits the whole time. God. My mom goes, Kristin, I just want to talk to you about what sex is. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. It gets worse. Kristin, I just want to tell you what making love is.
Ew, no.
Terry. And then my dad's like, yeah, here we go. And I was like, oh, God, please. So then I'm sitting there with my awesome real estate haircut and football jersey. and my mom's like, when two people love each other and they have explored each other's bodies, I'm like, I want to vomit. I want to die. Please stop talking. And then it was just like my head was like spinning and I think I blacked out a couple times and she just kept going on and on. I was like, why are you doing this conversation? And then
feels like you're enjoying this too much, Mom.
Yeah, I was like, she's a teacher, so like everything was very like detailed. So then I had the cold sweats and then I remember not too long later, my dad, we were on a farm and we had pigs and
oh boy.
It was that time of year, and our Boris was actively pursuing another lady friend he had, and my dad was like, "That's
what they're doing."
Yeah, that's basically what he said. You know what they're doing, and I go, "Oh God!" And that was how he felt. Like that was his version of the talk. Was just showing me farm animals.
As I reflect, I think I like Mom's version somewhat better.
No, it was my at least with my dad, I was like, all right, so we can understand like we're all animals in the wild kingdom.
Right.
But my mom was like, let's make this like Knots Landing. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't
Listen, Danielle Steele, I don't want this version. Not from you.
Don't use the word caress or pet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need any of that, Terry. Like, I'm already uncomfortable. I'm sweating through my freaking parachute pants. Like, just, I don't think that's going to happen for a while. Fast forward, it doesn't happen maybe that's why I didn't.
Do you remember me saying earlier I might shit my pants?
Is that what's happening right now?
I got to go.
I'll be right back. She's taking.
You guys.
Go.
Cut this part out.
No, Trey, this is staying in. Jen is trying these new supplements. Tony, I'm so sorry. This is welcome to us, Tony, and what happens to him. Jen is trying these new frickin' hormone vitamins, and it said decreases bloat, and she took 3 of them, and I was like, you're going to shit like a Christmas goose is what's going to happen right in the middle of our podcast. And did I call it? I called it. Who wants to know anything? Trey, how you doing, buddy? Gentlemen, how are we doing? You so happy to be here? We have any 28-year-old hot dude listeners? Have you jumped ship? It's fine. She really ran out of here. What? I'm looking at...
You guys, I seriously decreased some bloat right now.
Good God.
What?
You're sweating.
No, I'm not. I wish I were. I'm all about losing the lbs right now.
That's what you're embarrassed about? Is that I said that it looked like you were sweating, and that's what you get defensive about, but you just ran out of the room.
I don't want to be the person
You should be taking 3 of those vitamins, I don't think.
Well, that's what it said on the back of the thing. on the back of the
That's
bottle.
another ripoff. I don't like supplements because of that. They're like, here's a $45 bottle of supplements.
Because they give you a recommended dosage?
No, but they're like, here's a $45 bottle of vitamins. Take 8. And I'm like, that's literally 4 doses out of this pill bottle. I want 1 per pill.
Well, it's supposed this bottle's supposed to last a month. So, and I just tried it because my husband gives everybody vitamins, and the only thing I take are like immune supplement kind of stuff, and I'm like, look, I'm not eating healthy.
All right, whatever floats your boat, whatever
makes you crap your pants.
Yeah, whatever makes you crap yourself.
Sorry about it, you guys, but I do have. Can I tell you this hot flash?
Hot flash, hot flash. Hot flash.
While, there's that story about what happens between men and women, I have to tell you this other story that happened between a man and a woman, and it just happened. It's random that they were.
This is some hot flash about like not something hot.
It's pretty badass.
Okay, I'm listening.
What, you want me to do
No.
a guy, a shirtless guy?
Yeah,
kind of
but never happens. But go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna be like,
broken downstairs.
You're like, I found a guy who repairs Saturns.
Well, the car Saturn, you find one who can't anymore because they don't even.
What a weird car. Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Are you still remember that Geostorm too?
I fucking love Geostorms.
I'm sure.
And Geotrackers.
Oh yeah.
Hi. Little mini Jeep. It was the coolest looking, like
Very
a space
cool.
shuttle.
Hey.
No one had a teal car before the Geostorm.
Oh my God, I was not cool enough to have either.
God, those
of
were
those
the rich people cars.
Yeah, absolutely. My parents were like, "Here's a Buick."
Yeah, same.
Yeah, no.
My car looked
interest.
like you could drive it in forward or in reverse, and it was the same direction.
Okay, I just thought this was so amazing. Okay, remember the Power Rangers?
Of course.
Okay. So for some reason in Oakland, California, which we were just recently there, right?
Yes, for 5 seconds.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody in Modesto. We'll see you in
I'm sorry.
next year. But they were awesome. They all are like just moving their tickets to that
Man,
date.
I thought I was okay. I was not okay.
Yeah.
Everybody took really good care of me. I felt so terrible, and I thought, this isn't good.
Okay, so these 2 employees at a restaurant called Inoka Ramen were dressed as Power Rangers, you guys, and it was about 8 p.m. on a Friday night, and this woman live tweeted this happening, which I think is pretty amazing. So a woman in the restaurant was being attacked.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
She was being attacked.
No.
And these guys,
Dressed
it was morphin time. You're right.
as Power Rangers?
Morphin Power Rangers. They jumped in, okay? They moved towards the scene to help one another out. The man was using racial slurs.
Oh, no.
And all the patrons started getting involved, making sure everybody was safe. But I got to read you the last part of this, okay? The Power Rangers ended up piling onto the man as police showed up. Oakland police confirmed to ABC 7 News that they were able to detain the man, believing he was undergoing a mental health crisis.
Well, clearly.
Yeah. He was detained by one of the Power Rangers.
Oh, my God.
Putting him in a headlock, you guys, until the authorities could arrive.
That's fantastic. I wonder if he was like, fuck, I am going,
Yes,
I'm going
he's
down
like-
a slippery slope. I got my ass kicked by Power Rangers. When does that happen?
Really, he was like mentally fine until he's just
Until
mad.
the Power
and when he
Rangers
dro-
came
yeah,
out.
then he was like, I gotta quit
Yeah,
doing drugs, you guys.
what did I
can't."
try in the 70s?
Is it like, but you guys, it's not Halloween. I mean, it's
They're
not
just
like
dressed as Power
they're just
Rangers?
dressed as Power Rangers,
love
and they were
that.
looking for their moment, and they found it. You
It's
guys,
like heroes don't wear capes, but sometimes heroes wear
They
capes.
absolutely
they're
do.
wearing capes
Yeah, they're
or
wearing,
like full frontal,
pink or
like,
yellow.
Yeah, like pink or yellow and like their fast, quick moves. God bless them.
But it was honestly, I was trying to find a hot guy because I'd read something about this like
you
hero
gotta
dad.
get on our TikTok, girl.
No, I know. I read about this like hero dad and I was looking for that. And this article came up and I was like, that's the best thing I've read.
That's good.
Like,
We celebrate. I'm just saying.
oh, God.
Can't
all
look
right.
at the guy chopping wood all the time, but you can because he's got a couple new ones. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
The wood chopping guy?
chopping
oh, yeah,
guy.
you guys. You got to go check out the wood chopping guy. He's really something.
It's
you know.
stupid. It's
Okay.
stupid. Okay, and you also have a mom box.
I do have a mom box.
Nothing has ever made us happier.
Red double. This is so great.
We,
okay.
for the record, we love, and I told Tony this too. I said, we feel so lucky to read these messages from moms and how nice it is to hear that you guys are listening to the podcast and having such a good time. And it just literally makes us want to work harder and do more. And this was really sweet.
Really up the ante here.
This is next level. Next level. This woman.
She wrote us with her hands, you guys. Talk about
actual
a hero.
handwritten letter.
Yeah, hold on. I got to get her name.
God
and
darn
it wasn't
it.
just, oh, God. She did front and back like a queen.
Gosh darn
I kind of
it.
wish she would have folded it like an old school note. Okay, hold on.
She stapled it. What else do you want?
I know.
She's
but-
cute. She knows how to keep it together.
Okay.
Well,
Hold
here are
on.
the pictures, which are
Okay.
just as gall darn cute as you could expect.
Okay, so she just had her second daughter named Adeline.
There's a picture of Adeline where she's basically in the hospital. To include us in this is ridiculous.
How can I not find her name? It's so shitty, you guys.
It's at the end of the letter.
Kelly.
Oh,
It's
God.
Kelly. Kelly S.
How long has it been since you've written a letter? You put your
You know
name
what?
at the
It's
end.
a really long
I know.
time. I haven't read
It's a
anything
lost
like
art.
this.
Can we talk about that, baby? If you
Okay.
guys aren't watching us on YouTube, this is the roundest, cutest baby.
So she sent us like I don't know if I should. She said I'm going to read you just the very top part because
Just the
it's
top,
delightful.
because it's also like we don't want you to think that we only are
Dear,
reading this stuff for
dear
the podcast.
Jen and Kristin, and here's what I love about it. She spelled it E-N at first. She whited it out and put an I.
I appreciate you.
You know what else she did? She spelled Jen with two N's and whited one out, and that is a queen.
You're doing your best.
She is because she's like just had a baby.
She
How
also
did she even have
just
time
wrote
to
us
write
a
this?
letter.
I know.
What are you literally hoisting this up on your boob, putting like paper on that? Like this is next level. I didn't sign my name for 8 years.
She says, I wanted to write, I know, old fashioned, to tell you how much your podcast has helped me through one of the lowest points in my life. And so she goes through the hard time that she's having. We do appreciate, we read all these messages, so don't
Yeah.
ever stop. We really want you guys to just send us like
Yeah,
old
your
school
Christmas cards.
presents. Why did I say
Presents.
presents now? I just threw that in there. But why? No, you guys send us presents.
Well, if you're
already.
crafty.
I know. Oh God, we love crafts.
We love crafts. People that make stuff, come on.
Okay,
But,
so-
what basically the nuts and bolts of it, we're not going to go into this.
She is
It's our letter, it's private.
That's right. So she's had a hard year, but she's had a lot of loss. But then she had this gain, this beautiful, beautiful baby named Adeline.
Adeline.
There's Dad,
With the little
Grandpa,
bottle. Grandpa
holding
with
it.
her.
She sent us one of the very first like newborn pictures too. The one where she's
I
like,
know. She's got baby in the hospital. That is not what I looked like.
no.
I was like red.
Where's-
and splotchy?
yeah, where's all
and
of her
One of my
chins?
boobs was down by my rib cage. I was like, no
That was
pictures.
a weird yellow color.
Yeah.
It looked like, it was.
Oh, look at that baby.
Look at that baby too.
So this is very sweet and very special.
So, she wants us to come to Nashville for a live show.
Done.
We don't know when, but at some point we'll come to Nashville and you may have front row tickets, lady.
That's
friend.
right,
so
lady.
thanks for letting us share in a part of your wonderful, wonderful joy.
It's so nice. And to all you out there about ready to have the chat or the talk or the old sex conversation, keep us looped in. I might
That's
need
right.
some.
For pointers, you can DM Kristin.
Yeah, pointers. Don't DM me, but I'll follow whatever you guys do because you're
Yeah.
better at this than me.
There's going to be an erection and there's going to be a problem. You heard it here first. I think we podcasted.
I think we podcasted and made a T-shirt.
Okay, bye.
Bye.